Started, yeah? Yeah, you're good.
Great. Good evening. Welcome to Design Advisory Panel, Nanaimo on May 28th, 2026. Starting with a little bit of light housekeeping, can I have a motion to approve today's agenda as presented? Just let me see my view here. Gallery. Can I have a hand for today's agenda from somebody? Thank you, Kate. Seconder? Oh, Harry, thank you very much. And all in favor? Okay, so we'll begin. Next, we have one set of minutes to approve. These were the minutes from April 23rd, 2026. That was the industrial building on 921 Mon Road. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes? Harry, and seconder? Jessica, thank you very much, and all in favor? Okay, great. Thank you very much. We have 3 presentations this evening. We have one on 901 Mon Road, another one on 1691 Boundary Avenue, and a third on 2124 Northfield Road. Cameron Salisbury, as our planner 2 of current planning, will give an introduction. Please go ahead, Cameron.
Thank you, Chair. And before I begin, I'd like to request that if you're a member of the design panel team, please have your screen turned on so that we can see you. And if you're an applicant or presenter this evening, please change your display name on screen to your first and last name for minute taking. That would be great. Thank you, everyone. So development permit application number DP 1419 or 1419 is for a new single-story industrial shop building with a 2-story accessory office component internal to the building with a total gross floor area of 2,146 square meters. The zoning of the property is the industrial I4 zone. The proposed building will provide enclosed space for storage, assembly, shipping, packing, and administrative areas for the processing of various types of manufactured metal products. The site is mostly vacant with accessory structures on the site that will be removed during the development. The property is largely cleared of vegetation as well, with mature trees primarily along Mon Road frontage. The property is designated within the Development Permit Area 8 for form and character, and the city's form and character design guidelines apply. The application also includes a variance to reduce the south side yard setback to 3 meters. And if the panel may remember recently, there was the application adjacent to this site. I think it was at the last meeting of the panel. So this is the site location right next door. I'm happy to take any questions following the applicant's presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you for the introduction, Cameron. And who will be presenting this evening?
Yeah, hello. Myself will be presenting today.
Hi, Simu. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Share screen when ready.
Yes. Is everyone able to see my screen?
We see you right now.
You see my screen?
Oh, we see you.
You see me? Okay, just a second. Okay, is everyone able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your time. My name is Simu Midda Arora, architect AIBC, and I'm architect for this project. We are presenting the proposed industrial development at 901 Morgan Road in Nanaimo. Nick form is an industrial setup which is designed to produce metal cold form components such as metal deck, cladding system, purlins, girts, and angles. I just want to bring attention to everyone that as we have been undergoing coordination with and discussions with the building supplier, minor revisions to the floor plan and elevations have been made from the original DP submission package, which I will be presenting today in this presentation. Talking about the project, okay. The proposal consists of a new industrial building within the Duke Point industrial area. The building includes a large industrial workshop and a pre-engineering building, along with a two-story administrative office located at the northwest corner of the building. The project is intended to support industrial operations while improving the overall form and character of the site and public interface along with the highway corridor. The property is located within an established industrial corridor and is I-4 zoned industrial. The site has Duke Point Highway, this side, on the south side of the property, and Morgan Road, which is the from where we have the primary access on the east side. The surrounding context consists primarily of industrial and employment generating uses, which inform the functional and architectural approach of the project. So let's see some of the context pictures. Like this picture shows the position from here, then this one on the Duke Point Highway going towards the north, and this one shows the entrance. This is the entrance from the Morgan Road. Let's discuss a little bit about the site plan, how we have placed the building into the site. So on the Morgan Road, here is the entrance to the site. This one is the proposed warehouse building. So that's the big building. This side is the office area, which is a two-story component in this building. This is the outdoor amenity space for staff. Now, if I talk about the circulation, so here and here we see the parking. As this site has one entrance and one exit, so from here the trucks can enter, and then this way it can circulate, and from this point comes the exit to the site. While talking about the design approach for the project, we focus mainly on balancing industrial functionality with the improved architectural expression and site organization. Few things are included in that, like the building layout. Building layout is designed to maximize operational efficiency, including clear truck circulation, loading functionalities, and separation between admin and industrial uses. So that's how I explained that this way the truck will move. This side we have two-story element of the office space, and this side is the warehouse building. That's a little bit of explanation showing the layout of the machines which we have been discussing with the supplier. And this clearly shows how the layout within the warehouse will happen. And the other side, this side, is the office component of the this whole industrial setup. The second significant attention was given to reducing the perceived scale of the building. Industrial buildings, as you see, generally are like very long buildings. So we have tried to make it not monolithic, but some architectural expressions has been included in that, which you will just see in the elevation to create some rhythms and details. The project also responds to the public-facing condition along the Duke Point Highway. So this particular elevation, which you see as the Duke Point Highway side elevation, so we have tried to cover up so that the interest while going towards from either going towards or coming the other side, gives a visual interest to the building. Vertical, so we have created vertical autumn red accent bands at regular intervals to introduce visually to intervals to visually break the building length and establish a consistent rhythm across the elevations. Translucent wall panels are integrated within these vertical bands to introduce natural daylight into the workshop areas while also contributing to the facade articulation. So these ones, so basically that creates one element which has been repetitively used to create an interest within the building. This red portion which you see, that is the office component. So with that color demarcation, we have also included like showing that how the difference of the industrial setup and the office setup is maintained within the building. Integrated signage further strengthened, this one signage is further strengthened the building identity and contributes to the overall visual composition. The overall architectural expression is intentionally restrained and industrial in nature while still incorporating elements that improve scale, rhythm, as well as the visual interest for this development. Regarding the landscaping, landscaping has been incorporated along the Duke Point Highway frontage to soften the industrial edge and improve the streetscape condition. Planting strategy includes a combination of coniferous as well as the deciduous trees. If you see the color palette, I have also included that which shows the rib pattern of the wall panels which will be used. That will be in both the colors, but we have used the dual color palette. Now going to the movement within the site. So the site layout has been designed to support safe and efficient circulation for both vehicles and pedestrians. Truck moving, this one, and operational access are accommodated through clear internal circulation systems. So from here we enter and then those are the truck exits. A dedicated pedestrian walkway, which you see these black arrows. So that way from here is the garbage enclosure. From here we have provided a crosswalk until this pathway is attained. And then after that along the parking is the access towards the main entry, office entry. So that way we have maintained the safe pedestrian access towards the office entry. Clear signage is also provided throughout the site to support wayfinding and operational clarities. Now talking a little bit about the office entry. The two-story office component is expressed architecturally to clearly define the administrative entry point of the building. Additional glazing and wood-look portico elements are introduced at the office entrance to create more human scale and welcoming experience for staff and visitors. These elements help distinguish the office portion from the larger industrial mass while improving the pedestrian experience at the site entry. About now comes the outdoor amenity employee space. An outdoor amenity space is provided to support staff well-being and create more comfortable workplace environment. The amenity structure incorporates heavy timber posts and beams to introduce warmth, and durable standing seam metal roof is proposed above the structure to ensure long-term performance and low maintenance in consistency with the industrial architecture character for the development. In the building, I just forgot to mention one thing, that these windows, if you see, so there's a, because the staircase has been flipped from the original DP plan, so we have incorporated light by the addition of these small 3 by 3 feet windows in this side so that natural light can enter into the staircase portion of the building. Lighting is also, we have worked out both on the building mounted as well as the site lighting to improve and visibly throughout the development. All lighting is designed in accordance with the dark sky principles to minimize glare and light spill onto adjacent properties and surrounding environment. Some of the points regarding sustainability are passive daylighting strategies using translucent panels, reducing on the reliance on the artificial lighting during daytime operations, and enhanced landscaping. And also we are considering to add on future solar panel installation. Now I'm talking a little bit about the variance we are proposing. So as you know, this is 901 and this side is the 921, which we presented earlier. So in this one is the warehouse building, and then there is a parking. This is the existing office building, which does not come even in the line of the new proposed development. So the this is the line of the variance of the setback. The dotted line you see here is the 6 meter. We are asking a variance of 3 meter for this to support the functional footprint of the building, because functionality is one of the important point while detailing any industrial building. To summarize, the project balances industrial functionality with improved architectural expression, enhanced landscaping, and safe design. We believe the proposal aligns with the intent of the city plan Nanaimo reimagined and contributes positively to the Duke Point industrial area. Thank you so much, and we welcome your feedback.
Thank you, Simu, for the very thoughtful presentation. Do you have any landscaping that will be talked about, or?
We don't require a landscape
Okay.
architect for this one, so that's why.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. And before we get started, first off, for panel members, are there any questions of city staff before we get going? Just, oops. Sorry, Simu, could you please close your presentation so I can
Okay, sorry.
see everybody? Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? No? Sorry, not seeing any hands from anybody. Okay, in that case, we'll move forward with our comments and from our panel. So without further ado, we'll begin. You're on the top of my list. Harry, if you don't mind beginning.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your presentation. Yeah, I like this. It's very hard to make a pre-engineered building look good. You're very limited with what you can do, and I'm appreciative with the your vertical translucent floor to roof light panels. That's a nice touch. The red accent panels and defined office entry help with your wayfinding and building identity. That looks great. The covered employee amenity areas is really good touch too. I like it how you got the walkway between the fence and the parking. That's great. And the variances, they make total sense. You want to make the most of your lot size. So yeah. That's all I got for that one. That's good. It looks great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Harry. Dushan, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few suggestions. One of the things is when I saw the 3D render from the highway, the building form and the massing looks quite dominant to the cars passing by. I would maybe suggest adding more trees behind. I know Simu mentioned landscape was not required, although I do see attached plan, a landscape plan within the development permit. And seeing from here, we see some lower, let's say lower growth trees. I would maybe consider some higher growth, and just so it can blend more naturally and have a better separation between the highway and the industrial, since it's very close on that rear setback. The other thing would be, my question would be, is there any plan for storm retention and storm runoff, since this is a very big area and I see that almost 30% of is the building footprint, but also another 40 to 50% would be asphalt area for the parking. Do we have any plans on how the storm would go and runoff? And if not, maybe there is a suggestion for the bioswale behind in the rear within the landscape area on having implemented as a better storm retention and stormwater runoff from the roof as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
We are working on that portion, and our civil consultants are working to improve on that portion.
Great. Thank you very much.
Dusan, if I can just add to that, within the package that we submitted, we did submit a landscaping design, and also a preliminary civil that has the stormwater retention. And yes, there's a large stormwater retention area on the Mon Road side, basically because the whole site slopes to that direction. So that's where we're catching the water. So both of those are definitely in the final design for building permit, but for at this stage they are definitely there in our plans.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And maybe one more is, again, the site plan seemed pretty much detailed to the how transportation's working from the truck area, going in from one side and then exiting from the outside. Also, one of the suggestion is to have a stronger wayfinding, since we have the movement area in between the parking and the building. I know that there's some parking and accessible parking in front of the entrance, but also on the south portion of the project site plan, we can see also other parking spots there. So maybe just an indication and suggestion of using some light designs for wayfinding, or even if bollards are requirements in these cases, since we have really strong connection of the entry area of where pedestrians would mostly be, and also or users of the building, and also trucks moving most of the time. So that's just another suggestion how when design progresses in the site design.
So, Dushan, to summarize in terms of the wayfinding, can you just provide?
I would add, yes, I would maybe add, let's say bollards which are equipped with lights, which would be easier to find main entrances and possible crossing paths. If becomes, I'm not sure how well lit the parking area is. From just that standpoint, I have no problems with the building. I think there's, as presented in the presentation, it seems that to be well equipped with lighting on the building side, but just confirming on the parking side as well.
Great, thank you, Dushan. Yeah, go ahead, Seema.
So for the site lighting design, we will definitely detail it in proper when the building permit stage will come, and we will strongly look into this, that how best we can go with the site lighting so that the parking and everything is properly lit. while people are moving.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dushyant, were those all your comments?
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Kate, if you're ready.
Okay, great. I appreciate all the changes from the last time. It looks like a lot of the comments were incorporated with it, which is great. I did have a question between the Duke Point Highway planted buffer and the building. What's occurring in that space?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Between the Duke Point Highway planted buffer and the building, there's quite a bit of empty space. What's going in there?
Kevin, can you reply for this?
If I can figure out how to share my screen, I'll give you a plan. It's very similar to 921 as far as the planting scheme goes. Let's just see what I can do here. There it is. Can you see that?
I do, yeah. Yeah. So my question is from the planted buffer to the building, and then from the building edge to the property line on all sides. It's not shown as any sort of material or anything between there. That's my question.
Right. So the area on either end of the building is basically a grassy area or crushed gravel, which will allow access around the building. As you can see, there's an existing fence along the Duke Point side of the site, and from the existing fence line towards Duke Point is the 4.5 meter buffer of required plantings. So basically on the three sides of the building that are within the fence line, that's really just crushed gravel.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. So my recommendation would be, since it does look wider than what you'd need for a pathway on all those sides, my recommendation would be just to Dusan's point, so much of it is hardscape, to extend the planting area and provide some privacy screening hedge, which looks possible between the building and the property line on those sides. So that would be my one recommendation there. The other one, yeah, it looks good. I think it looks like, and that might just be a drafting area, the crosswalk and the sidewalk don't align. So just
Yes.
recommend taking a look at that to ensure pedestrian safety there. And then the only other one I had was it just looks like there's no details or anything for the pergola or seating area for the employees right now. So just wanted to confirm that. I can't really comment on it because there's no details, but just wanted to flag that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it, I
Okay.
think. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Kate. And now, Jessica.
Hello, thank you. I don't have anything to add. I appreciate that the revised plans have incorporated all the staff comments, and that's happened each time we've looked at this type of development. So that's awesome to see such active positive changes. And the only comment I had, Kate had already addressed, which was in the revised plan that Simu presented, the rendering of the main entrance and the employee amenity space had the pedestrian walk zone not really looking like it was joining up with the sidewalk, such that it almost looked like it was either going through the parking spot or ending at the amenity space. So just comment again, probably exactly what Kate was saying, to ensure continuity with that pedestrian walkway and the sidewalk for pedestrian safety around the site. Otherwise, I think this is a great plan, and I support the variance for very practical purposes. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. And Hillary, please, you go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I like the look of the plan. I think the panel has offered some really good comments, so I don't have anything to add. I appreciate the presentation, and thank you.
Thank you, Hillary. Just wanted to check if Councillor Armstrong, no, okay, great. Okay, thank you very much. In that case, last comments from me. Simu, thank you very much, first of all, for coming and for presenting. I really appreciated the floor-to-ceiling vertical bands to bring in light into this space. I liked how you did the red cladding around the office areas to kind of make the form a little bit smaller and to demarcate that human zone of this space where everybody's going to be in the office and doing things. I love the double door entry, which is an improvement over the 921, I think, where you have just a single. I think that's good with the wood overhang. That's really nice. I do have a couple suggestions, and they're quite small. I did notice that just along the parapet, the flashing was kind of a beige color. I wonder if it will compete with that wood overhang you're doing, and beige is so hard to match, especially with flashing colors and different cladding systems and things like that. That maybe just going with black, it'll go well with the logo, and it'll just, it's already a very punchy building, so might as well just roll with it, and the landscaping will help with the transition. So that's one thought I had. And then the other one was just to wrap the red along that front short end so that it just wraps on all three sides of that office area. Just a thought, that's just to really drive home the difference in the massing in that space and how it's used to differentiate that.
Yeah, actually, we first tried with that one, but with that, the red was becoming too dominant.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah.
when I'm looking toward from the Duke Point Highway, so that's why to break that dominance, but at the same time to create the feeling of that human scale as well as the long industrial building scale. To manage that, then I thought that bringing that north wall, a little bit of red and rest as the off-white looks better in the composition.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
That's
Yeah.
why, yeah.
Yep, and then I just noticed that it just wasn't clear in the renders, the kind of mullion colors around the windows and along the overhead doors. It sometimes it was beige, sometimes it was white. Just that if that was all consistent, if it could match the parapet flashing, that would be good too. I mean, just to have it all go.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so those are the comments from me, and I wanted to thank the panel for their comments and asking for your help now to just make sure that I get these right as I list them off. Kate, I'm just going to follow up with you. The comment about the details, it's regarding details for the pergola to provide details. It's not really a design comment per se, so is it just a comment for the architect, or would you like to formalize it somehow?
No, yeah, that's okay.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so it looks like we have 6 recommendations this evening. One is consider adding trees to reduce the dominance of the building. Number 2, consider adding a bioswale for stormwater runoff. So that's already underway, so that's good. Number 3, consider stronger wayfinding, such as light bollards to help find entrances and lead people to crosswalks. Dushan, did I capture your comments okay?
That's all perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Consider, fourth comment, consider extending the planting area and provide privacy screening. Okay, number 5, ensure continuity of the pedestrian walkway and sidewalk. Okay, and last, comment 6 is consider your flashing and mullion colors to match the facade. Okay. Okay, so I'm not hearing any strong objections to the variances. In fact, most everybody approved it. So we'll put our support behind that. And did I miss anything from the comments? Is anything missed? I don't see anything. Okay, so can I have a motion to support the project as presented with those 6 recommendations, as well as support for the variances? Okay, Harry, seconder. Jessica, thank you. All in favor? Okay, thank you very much. And great, I'd like to thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Yeah,
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much and have a great night.
Okay, so we will move on to the second presentation of this evening, which is 1691 Boundary Avenue. Vidi Chieda, our Planner 1 of current planning, will give an introduction. Please go ahead, Vidi.
Thank you, Chair. Development permit application number GP 1413 is for a 12-unit multifamily residential development in a 3-story building at 1691 Boundary Avenue. It's within the existing medium-density residential zone. The proposed building is to be added to the site between the 2 existing multifamily dwellings, which would be retained, and each consisting of 6 dwelling units currently, and for a total of 24 dwelling units altogether with the proposed development. The property is designated within the Development Permit Area 8 Form and Character, and the city's Form and Character guidelines apply. The application includes a variance to reduce the minimum required number of parking spaces from 34 to 22, and possibly a variance to a percentage of small car parking. Reduce the minimum required front yard setback for the proposed garage, garbage enclosure and bike storage from 6.0 meters to 1.5 meters. And the third variance is to reduce the minimum required landscape buffer width from 1.5 meters to 0 meters. I'm happy to take any questions following the applicant's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vidi, for the introduction. And Atta, will you be presenting tonight? Oh, we're not getting any audio from you.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, Atta, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we'll be presenting today.
Yes, okay, please share your screen when you're ready, and after the presentation, close your screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone can see my screen. Oh, sorry. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes. Yep, looking good. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone, panel members and staff and public watching us live. So I'm Atta. I'm an architect with AIBC representing AR architecture, and I'll be presenting the architectural side of this project or development. And our project team will include the owner, Dustin LaRue, ourselves, and Chris Midgley, and representing Kinship Design, guiding our landscape design, and Matthew Rosenthal, representing Cascara Consulting, who will be addressing any civil infrastructure questions. So a little bit of brief of background. I can talk all day about this area, but also we need to be respectful to the time limit here. So I'll try to be as quick as possible. So the site is situated within the townsite neighborhood here, and immediately adjacent to the Nanaimo Regional General Hospital. This site occupies a highly strategic node within the city's urban fabric. The original hospital area plan dated back in almost like 2018 that outlined the urban use policies, parking regulation, and all the active transportation demand strategies to manage growth and vehicle congestion surrounding the Nanaimo General Hospital area. And lately, everything is shifted towards Nanaimo Reimagine, all to reinforce back to the sensitivity of the area while proposing development aims to satisfy the active municipal engineering and bylaw standards. So we are presenting here a gentle densification strategy that responds directly to the city's form and character and design guidelines, in particular within the context of designated residential corridor. So all the surrounding areas around the property is residential, medium high density areas. And this subject property is a through lot abutting Boundary Road on the east, Nightingale Crescent on the north edge, and Crescent View on the south. Topographically, the site has a steady slope that falls all the way from the east to all the way from the north to south edge by 4 meters, and the grade differential provides like a unique to nestle the new massing infill into the landscape, minimizing its perceived volume for the street level. And this is a photo taken from across the street, how the boundary road or the street edge interfacing with the boundary road. And our objective here to activate this central void, translating an empty lawn into cohesive medium density residential that enhances the neighborhood's character without overwhelming its scale. And this is also a photo from the site looking at the hospital area. This is a photo from the south edge, looking at the existing building there. And this is on the other corner of this of the lot. The side yard with minimal landscaped area. And this is a front elevation, or the elevation directly overlooking at the west elevation. And one significant tree on site, Douglas fir. And this is looking from the intersection of the boundary and Nightingale Crescent. And this is the other intersection itself. So in the next few slides, we'll show the site morphological evolution and our way of thinking of design approach. And as we see here, the site is fronting boundary on this side, and Crescent View on the south edge, and Nightingale Crescent on the north edge. It's 2,200 square meter. Currently, there's those two existing buildings at the far end corners of the building, of the property. And we started to begin examining the existing site condition across the total lot area. Currently, The interstitial void between the two existing structures serves as underutilized footprint, presenting an ideal canvas for a sensitive urban infill with thoughtfully designed. And just imagining the existing site frontage is just an open asphalt pavement where there's a 3-axis from the boundary avenue with no clear identity of pedestrian path or circulation. The garbage bin is also located in between 2 buildings without any proper enclosure. And the existing condition now is kind of neglects the fundamental rule of urban design to failing to mitigate the dominance of the vehicle and to prioritize the pedestrian realm. So our improvement for current condition first situate the infill building. The new proposed building is T-shaped morphological footprint, strategically placed to mitigate the space between the existing structure. And the parking and 3 parking, or the parking, surface parking is decentralized primarily to the back of the buildings. There are 2 parking stalls in front of the building for visitor and accessibility, and those stalls are connected thoughtfully with the pedestrian path, and they can be shared by all buildings. And the proposed parking spaces now, they have like a 3-axis from the sides, and the vehicle circulation, backwards. And new sidewalk upgrade has been provided as well, including landscape frontage and garbage enclosure for convenience on both sides, both ends of the property. And we also utilize the hardscape for pedestrian safe zones from vehicle routes, recognizing the spatial conflict between the existing spatial conflict between the property pedestrian path and vehicle circulation, designed in accordance to the universal design principles. As residential corridor and guideline, I usually going to put some of those notes on top or bottom of the slides to refer to the design form and design guideline and how you comply with it. And by that, on this slide, we show how we established the primary entrances with the pre-existing condition with the existing buildings and layering landscape directly to the boundary avenue frontage. And then this is the final volumetric massing showing the new development scale in relation to the existing buildings. And we also considered one of the comments as well to provide like a clear sight lines for those 2 existing structure for the garbage enclosure and the bike storage as well. And architecturally speaking, the building is also driven by passive design principle in terms of orientation and to expand the view to overlook into public spaces at the front on Boundary Avenue with a typical element of decks and patios and balconies. And there's a final massing with articulation with render image shows the massing details and depth of the facade is articulated through different levels of differentiated different contrasting colors, which we'll see in the next slides. However, this is also elaborated by deck projections. The building is also treated with the stepped volumes to mitigate the height difference that follows the topography of the site. And here's a schematic rendering of how we are emphasizing a massing expression with the building complementing with the proposed landscaping and the surrounding and site upgrades, and how landscape treatment improved drastically the urban edge compared to the existing condition, which is kind of what looks like here. And if we go to compare the existing condition, the proposed development ensure more thoughtful design consideration aligned with design guideline as well. And just to note, on the, I guess one of the commentary on the rooftop mechanical system is already located and probably proposed to be located centrally on the roof area within roof parapet walls, so they are not visible from the human eye perspective, although we see it from the drones. And also, in briefly, the facade articulation employs a contemporary high-quality material palette, architect white, juxtaposed with against the night gray lap siding, white wood tone cedar mill finish, introduced to provide like a warm and textile texture to integrate with the pedestrian scale and landscaping. And we also broke up the massing by expressing individual units, utilize deep horizontal roof overhangs, and projecting balconies, which also serve dual purpose, providing weather protection as well. And here's also a 2D elevation facade showing the incorporated color scheme of the finishes. There's a west and east elevation, mainly flattish, because of the spatial separation consideration as well. While we also try to maintain the parameters of the zoning bylaws, but we can't achieve perfection, obviously. And although the majority of the site respect the zoning bylaws and requirements, we can only revive the proposed design idea with the major site upgrades and building setting as pre-existing challenges as well. It seems inevitable, though they may appear minor in comparison. For example, the proposed variance, it seems major, but it's only affected in very small areas on site. For example, front yard setback for the garbage enclosure and landscape buffer from 1.5 and 0, highlighted in green on the plans, on the site plan, only in those areas where we needed to include like a parking stalls, but also fence. And also reduce the number of parking from 34 to 22, which is supported by parking study and probably supported by the upcoming update on the parking bylaw. And this is also a conceptual nighttime view of the project, showing how long I've been talking. I promise this is the last slide. Ultimately, what we want to say is the proposed development revitalizes an underutilized site, bringing much needed housing to the hospital district through sensitive, high performance, cost-effective design. We believe this project embodies the progressive vision of this city form and character design guideline, and also aligns with them perfectly, considering with the minor variances. And to end this with the interesting picture here that dated back to 1960, obviously, showing the early hospital building. And if you focus at the far in the background, you can also see the two existing buildings that are discussed today. I find it funny when you come across it. Thank you. That's probably my portion of the presentation, and I'll leave it to Chris to take over for landscape design. Thank you.
Thank you, Atta.
Thank you, Atta. If I may, through the chair, begin, I will just start sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for having us this evening. So I'll be as brief as I can through this. I think Atta touched on a great deal, and I'll leave it to the panel for questions if anything comes up. But as we approach this site, being in the hospital precinct, I guess, three kind of ideas really generally motivated us for the landscape approach, which are kind of healthy, functional, restorative, those kinds of ideas. So that informed our approach, which was to create a cohesive landscape that unifies the site and provides a multifunctional, thriving landscape that establishes a clear transition between the public realm and private spaces, offers opportunities for social interaction on an otherwise constrained site, and offers a sense of immersion in a naturalized environment. So as you can see here on this sheet, this is a simple landscape plan emphasizing things like the planting, rain gardens, site connectivity, site furnishing, and the lighting and fencing, which is practical reality. So for the planting, which occupies much of the site, we are proposing a lush layer of indigenous climate-adapted species. Given the scale of the site, we have included 22 trees, mostly small and deciduous trees, to provide shading for seating areas and allow for solar access into the buildings during the winters. But there are also coniferous trees there as well, notably shore pines. Basically, along the street frontage here, we're proposing a series of bioswales and rain gardens to prioritize and enhance natural systems and support pollinators and biodiversity within the city. And these small little gathering spaces, again, focusing them on a linear pathway that's an accessible route across the site variously, though there are interruptions with stairs occasionally. Each of these gathering spaces are accessible universally from one side or the other. And so that creates an environment for sitting, gathering, eyes on, pardon me, eyes on the street, and viewing passersby, that sort of thing. As Atta noted, there's quite a dramatic elevation change across the site, with these buildings positioned sort of at a higher elevation than the streetscape. So that really starts to define how we're able to create spaces along this site and the street frontage. The bioswales here are contained within planter boxes, essentially in front of this building, but open to the landscape to the north. And our motivation there, in addition to being functional, nature-based solutions to stormwater management and what have you, they're also a really useful way to divide public and private, create that transition. So there's a clear definition between the public and the private space. And I mean, again, along this pathway, you can see these icons indicating bollard lights. So low level, dark sky compliant, high efficiency lighting to provide comfort and safety along that route. And also address the sort of that set-dead side of things to make sure it does feel like a safe environment. Ultimately, we're looking at, like I say, a multifunctional landscape that integrates green infrastructure with these rain gardens, biodiversity through the planting and the tree canopy, an accessible environment where anyone can get to the parking to a door, from the street to a door, from the street to a door, a ramp to the side accesses, those kinds of things, to make it as universally accessible as we can within the constraints that exist. And this leveled tiering of bioswales contained within planters as we work our way from the street to the residential buildings. Again, oftentimes a concern that we hear relates to these kind of concrete walls, and so the planting strategy incorporates ground covers and plants like kinnikinick and strawberry that can kind of flow over the edges of those. So it really creates a seamless kind of human-scaled environment between the street and the building. There's limited fencing suggested along the backside. I guess this is a side yard technically, but that would be the division between this proposed site and the adjacent residences, and a significant tree cluster at the rear there to create some additional screening. The fences we envision as a durable, one of those standard metal kind of fences you often see. They're bulletproof, they last a long time, and we're proposing it to be black, as that really allows the vegetation to pop up against the colors. Heavy timber benches is the seating, and standard kind of contemporary bike loops to provide for the bike storage. I'll just take a moment and just to show the planting plan. I'm not going to talk about it, just provides you with a greater illustration of the density of planting, how we are trying to create that thriving, healthy, functional landscape with bioswales, trees, and really cultivating that sense of immersion within the natural landscape. So with that, I will return it to the panel and say thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Chris, for your presentation. And of course, Atta as well. Before we begin with recommendations and comments from the panel, do any of the panel members have any questions of staff? Okay. Seeing none, let's begin. If you don't mind, Jessica going first this time.
Hi, Madam Chair, thank you so much. And thank you both for the presentations. There's a lot to unpack here. It's a very interesting project. And I think that what you're planning to do is ambitious, and that the increased density, I think it looks really good. The site right now is so stark in the back and a random parking lot in the front. And I think that your proposal is very thorough and very, very well thought out and has a lot of really great aspects to it. I think that really I'm just going to focus on one detail, and that is that in somewhere in the many pages that I was reading, it was indicated that there are no major changes proposed to the existing buildings. I think that's my biggest conflict with this whole project. The new building is beautiful. It's got resilient, modern cladding and finishes. I believe in the renderings I saw that it has glass guards on the patios. It's fantastic. It looks great. And the old buildings are 1967 stucco. And so I think one of the staff comments was to incorporate design elements to achieve a cohesiveness between the old and the new. And I would strongly recommend that. I feel like the existing buildings are going to just look so worn and so old against this beautiful new building. And I understand that you're not going to reclad a stucco building probably, but flashings, window trims, and the patios, there was a bit of, in the renderings that I saw in the presentation, it looked as though the patios, I couldn't determine if there was an intention to match them, but I think that the pictures of the existing buildings I'm not sure what the material is, but they have guards and patios, and they're very different from the new buildings. So putting some energy into making those old buildings look slightly renewed and fresh compared to that new one, I think would be really imperative for the overall success of this project. So I won't go on any more about that. I just think that's really important. And my other concern, again, mirrors a staff comment, which is just the front building access is messy. There's from the renderings, it's hard to delineate where humans should be, where the parking is, and the private patio space for the units that face out the front. So and the circulation of how things are going to happen in the front of the building. So whether it's design elements, landscaping, transition in surface materials, something to make it crystal clear where people should be when they're entering the main building and accessing the parking. So thank you very much. I think this is fantastic. I love to see it come to fruition because it's a really cool project. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, panelists, is it appropriate if I add a comment in here that I'd meant to say something prior to the presentation, but just to address Jessica's comments here, or is it best to let the panel run through?
Please go ahead, Dustin. That's okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks. So thank you for that feedback. And was planning to pre-mention, I got stuck on mute before I got passed over. But yeah, so undoubtedly the plan is to improve the existing buildings as well. in conversations with the city right off the outset, we had decided that that would be a separate development permit, and as they are going to fall under very different building purviews. And there is ongoing concerns in terms of the disruption to tenants that would be involved with improving the existing buildings. So the timelines may vary to some degree. So for those reasons, we did opt to separate the permits, and with the intention for them to inevitably be cohesive. I just wanted to emphasize here that it's a pretty unique situation. So we do have, I guess, limitations within trying to maintain existing affordable rental stock and not disrupting, our goal right from the outset was to not disrupt the existing rental community, which is there long established, but still add to the rental supply within Nanaimo. And to do that without, I guess, your typical developer model, which would be the initial renderings when this property was for sale, which was sort of max out the FAR and put 48 units over this entire parcel. There are some obvious limitations in terms of working around these existing buildings, but they're in great shape, aesthetically not, but in terms of lifespan, absolutely. And, a very long-standing rental community. So what we're hoping to do is work around in this. We put in a great thought, and Karen, to trying to provide more housing while actually improving the living quality of the existing tenant base. So essentially what I was getting at here is that the goal is to undoubtedly improve those existing buildings as well, and to have them match a more cohesive exterior, particularly facade.
Okay, thank you, Dustin. Does the city have any comments about this? Or Atta, you'd like to add something? I see your hand. But I'd like to hear from the city if they have something to say.
All right, thanks, Chair. I don't know if Vidhi, if you had any thought, but yes, certainly there is always the recommendation to try to have some cohesion as much as possible, recognizing there can be interim stages with development or redevelopment. So appreciate the applicant's comment and perspective and approach on this. And we'll let the panel provide comments as they see fit. But just appreciate the applicant's comments. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Lania. And Atta, I saw your hand. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the second comment. So since we received the staff comment for the portion of the entrance of the new building, lately we widened the drive aisle, accessing those two only parking at the front, to make like a very segregated pedestrian pathway leading to the main entrance. And while we realize those two parking is going to be very minimally used, and majority of the circulation will be pedestrian coming from the parking lot at the rear side of the building. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Atta. Jessica, please go ahead.
Apologies. Thank you very much for following up. And again, my first comment was just directed specifically at the fact that there was a line that said we're not doing any improvements, so that you are on the existing buildings. One final comment that I forgot to ask about was we didn't address the landscape buffer requested variance. Apologies. And I'd just like to know if that is because of the parking. You cannot provide that setback because the parking spots will fit in there. They will not fit in there otherwise. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we will continue with Councillor Eastmere, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Yeah, there is a lot going on here. I think it was like a really interesting project to look at just because of the infill nature of it, and like how much is going on along Boundary, and just like the neighborhood context. I think it looks like a really nice design. I definitely understand the concern about it, like not fitting in with the two buildings on the side, but I did see the staff comment about incorporating some elements to make it more cohesive there. I also was wondering about ramp access, but I do see that there is a staff comment about ramp instead of stairs in front on the south. I liked all the rationale about the parking variance, and because at first that stood out a little bit to me, although like more broadly we are trying to look at eliminating parking minimums, and I think there's really good rationale for why this variance could work, even though there's not much street parking ability in that area, so hopefully the numbers are real on that. Yeah, and I understand the reason for the landscape buffer being changed. So yeah, with the addition of the stairs and the staff comments, I think it covers it. But yeah, I appreciate seeing this project, and I think it's something we're going to see a lot more of in Nanaimo, hopefully. And this is a good example of how it can be done well. Maybe the plantings in the front could be a little bit taller for me, like the ones especially along like the lower units, to give more privacy to ground floor dwelling units. But otherwise, keen to hear other comments, and thanks for the presentation.
Thank you, Councillor Hilary Eastmere. And now, Kate, if you could go ahead, please.
Great. Thank you. I agree with a lot of the city staff comments. Those are great. I did have a question. I'm curious as to why it looks like there's a turning space or a loading spot for the garbage enclosure. Was it looked at moving the garbage enclosure into that space so it didn't require a separate loading space?
So for the loading, I mean, they're going to be like more frequent garbage collection due to the size of the garbage and the size of the development as well. So we don't want the garbage truck to back up to the streets. So instead to have like a designated turning space. So for the safety concerns.
Okay. Sounds good. I only ask because I don't know the safety of the adjacent roads, but if backing up is possible, I mean, I think the staff comments about the thing, I think the landscape plan is really well done. The thing I'm concerned about is that there is no amenity space for any of the increase in density besides the benches. And so I could see that as being an opportunity to allow for more amenity space for the users, or in addition to the staff comments about potentially looking into the roof, an addition of a rooftop amenity space as well could address that issue. But I do think there needs to be a more consolidated and larger outdoor common area space. I also looks like to me on the ground floor that there's a 1-bedroom that will be fully in the dark. They have no windows. It looks like that aren't just right up to the next building. So I'd recommend looking at that as well to see if somehow the layouts could be shifted to allow them to have at least one window that's not just facing the adjacent existing buildings. I think I second the comments about the front entrance. There's a lot going on, and I think more pavers and less concrete at that front entrance would do well for that. I also saw in your description that it looks like with future street parking, the requirement for stalls would only be 21, and it looks like 22 are suggested. And so my recommendation would be to look at the variances, and I could see an opportunity where only 21 stalls are provided, and there is that then space in front of the building for additional gathering area rather than a second parking stall right there. I think that's it. That are the new comments. Everything else looks really great. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Kate, for your insight. That's really, really helpful. Dushan, if you could please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you for a great presentation. It's a great design and integration in between two existing buildings. I am mostly seconding what already mentioned comments. And one thing that I can maybe suggest for the front face and the main entrance is I really love how the landscape design is incorporated within the existing buildings, but how it breaks on the front facade of the new building is a bit too much of a contrast, where we have green areas in front of the existing buildings, but then a lot of concrete in front of the main entry, exposing essentially the main entrance, because I can see some really tall windows there, or even wall glazings with the main entry, but also the patio of one bedroom units, which kind of exposes a lot when people are coming in. And we don't have any, at least that I could have seen, any higher hedges there that could hide and create that privacy for that one bedroom patio. On the other side, I would maybe propose consideration of the redesign of the frontage to be more cohesive with the landscape on left and right side, and to maybe stack the parking spaces accordingly in between and have intermittent breakings of the trees. That way, we can maybe have a better design across the whole line of the front of the three buildings, rather than focusing on the main entry as being the dominant here with both parking areas.
Sorry, sorry to cut you off, Dushan. Just to clarify, are you suggesting parking in front of the buildings?
Similarly how it's done on the front of the front of the new building, I would maybe reshape it if we can have the breakage of this front area, so not in front of the on the street, but more in front of the buildings like we have in the middle portion, but break throughout all the line of the three buildings.
Sure. Sorry, Atta, could you please just pop that up just so that we can see what Dushan is referring to? That would be helpful, I think.
Yeah. Maybe even I can share the screen. I do have it open on the on this one.
Sure.
Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah. So it's just that this area here is very nicely done with the landscape, and along this one, which is kind of mirrored. But then the front area here seems quite well exposed. In my maybe suggestion is to consider implementing maybe some parking spots along the frontage, but having breakouts of the trees and landscape throughout the in between the parking spots. That's only the suggestion. It may not be possible from the access of the cars, but maybe there's an opportunity how to cohesively have one frontage design of incorporating landscape and parking spaces. That way, we can also maybe have trees in front of the new building, which would create that privacy. Whereas currently, we do have quite a bit of exposed balconies here, where even the buildings around have that tree, and one of the advices were having a higher trees to have that privacy on the balconies.
Dusan, if I could add one helpful comment to address that. The one hindrance, if I'm understanding your suggestion correctly, is in speaking with engineering in Nanaimo, they're very enthusiastic on removing the 3 access points to the busy road being Boundary Ave and the traffic congestion that causes, and us reducing it to 1 was very well supported and suggested. So in order to get frontage parking broken up, I think that would likely, if I'm understanding you correctly, need another access to Boundary Avenue, which is probably going against the suggestions of engineering. Hence the reason we've limited it to just very low accessible and delivery parking off the front to limit access coming and going off Boundary Ave almost entirely. So hence the reason we've narrowed that down. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I understood that fully accurately.
Yeah, that was kind of the way that I was thinking about. Although if that would create 3 access points, that yes, it would go against the engineers and the whole point of having the rear access points of on the lot. So yes, in that point, 1 access point would be is understandable, and consolidating that in front is understandable. Maybe only looking in the ways of having more maybe perforated asphalt areas combined with grass would create that cohesiveness between the landscape and the concrete parking, maybe as a suggestion also. Other than that, yep.
I was going to say, or perhaps maybe just some taller shrubbery to sort of break up the facade from the street to the parking may versus those long shrubs to sort of block out the parked cars if they were to be there. I think perhaps that would address your concern.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can think on this one as we go through some of the other recommendations, and then I'll come back to you, Dushan, and we can hash out a final recommendation together at the end. Would that be okay?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
And also one of the comments was for the 1 bedroom where we noticed no windows. And I believe it would be around here as I was looking. It would also just point out on the spatial separation and the requirements of that, if it's possible, and if not, maybe consideration of redesigning the layout. I'm not sure right off the hand of what the requirements on spatial separation is on this side, since it's quite close to the existing building, but yes, 1 bedroom didn't have the window here. Maybe it was just a mistake or an overlook, which is fine, but it's just a point just to look it over and confirm.
Okay, thank you very much, Dushan. Are those all your comments?
Those are all my comments. Thank you.
Okay, so if you don't mind just thinking about just that 1 comment regarding the parking in front, of how to just kind of state that clearly for the recommendation, and I'll move on forward to the next ones, and then we'll get back to it.
Yes, so just a suggestion then is to have at least either some higher hedges separating the exposure to the front, and then, or the perforated parking asphalt.
Okay, perfect. I will add that. It was already included in a previous comment, so I'll consolidate those 2 together. That's a good one. Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you, Dushan. And Harry, your go.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks for the presentation. I just have a few things to add. Form and character looks great. The other panel members mentioned the front elevation. I would consider adding additional landscaping or design elements to further transition the ground floor units from the sidewalk frontage. Guideline 3327. That's all I can say. Form and character. Otherwise, it looks great. Landscaping. You're removing a lot of green space from the 2 existing buildings. Have you considered a rooftop amenity for the new building that all 3 could share? Like I'm sure there's a lot of families in the 2 buildings that would enjoy that space where the parking's going to go. Maybe you could offset the parking variance by the rooftop amenity. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Harry. Okay, and then last but not least, my comments. These have all been very thoughtful, and I think everyone is quite pleased with this project, what I'm getting. And there's a lot of comments, but they're not changing the project in any major way, just contributing to make it even better. So I just wanted to ask the architect about the garbage enclosures. I know it's tricky with the parking, the decision to put them on the corner, street corner. I know you guys did a great job with the landscaping. Thank you, Chris, for that. I'm just wondering if you had fought pretty hard to put it in the back to hide them a little bit, or whether parking was it a parking issue? Is it corners are so prominent, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, the constraints here is the existing building. So the parking dominates the majority of the rear side of the building. That goes to the circulation and the width of the aisle required. So we at the edge where we are against the rear side of the buildings or side yard of the building. So the only location that is convenience for both, not both, for three buildings to access those garbage enclosure plus the bike storage as well. So we don't want one building to travel further down to the site to access the garbage, especially when we consider accessibility and stuff. So that was the only way to work around it, to have like as smallest as possible as a garbage enclosure and minimum requirement of the bike storage. So it's there, but it's not too hassle to get to those structures.
Okay, yeah, thanks very much. And you said the parking pickup was once a week? So it was a temporary, like, and it's like a scheduled parking, sorry, not parking pickup, garbage pickup. Yeah.
Because we are breaking it into like two small garbage enclosures,
Yeah.
so we're expecting there are going to be more frequent garbage collection.
Okay. On a previous project where we had this similar issue of kind of compressing our staging area and the loading for that staging, we put up a sign in the parking behind the loading area, like where you have your parking lot, you have two parking stalls, and then you have your loading area opposite, and then you have your garbage. I wonder if there was a way for the city to accept to just put up signs that on the specific times when the garbage is picked up, there's just no parking in those two stalls, and then that way everything can get pushed away from that corner. You get a lot more amenity space, and so those street corners would remain without garbage containers on them or garbage enclosures.
The only thing that worries us also, if we remove that turning space and instead put like the garbage enclosure next to that one stall, it's probably going to be closer to the building property line. And we also, that turning radius, turning spot, we are using it to drag the garbage as well. So it serves both purposes, and also for people to accessing that semi-private sidewalk to get to their buildings as well. So it has more than one purpose that serves. And I wish we could have, have like other way to do it, but I think we're very restricted with how the parking and the circulation of the vehicle at the back of the buildings.
Okay, I appreciate that. Anyway, I wanted to say again, thank you for your presentation. I think the buildings look great. I like how Septed was considered for the landscaping. You did mention it was fairly sensitive design, and it is. It shows it's quite nice. The materials are nice. It's respectful. I feel like there's like just the way the massing of that middle building. It feels like it's very friendly with the buildings next door. Like they're they're all kind of, I don't know, it's a nice, I like the massing and how friendly it is to the two and respectful to the two adjacent buildings. So that's wonderful. Okay, so in that case, I'm gonna start running through these comments, and panel members, please again chime in if there's something that I didn't get quite right, and I'll check in with you as I go. Okay, so the first one is consider updating the older buildings with some design elements to add cohesiveness between new and old. I'm not going to specify exactly what those are. Could be glass guards or could be any other element, but just a consideration for that. Number two is consider wayfinding to make it clear where to go. There are two different parking areas at the back, so just to make it a little bit more helpful. And number three, consider ramp access. Was that commented on? Do we have ramp access? Okay, so we'll just leave that as a recommendation. Number three, consider ramp access. Number four, consider the planting in front to make it a little taller to conceal and give privacy to those front-facing suites. Five, consider permeable pavers to tie in the parking in the front with the rest of the landscaping. Number six, consider a consolidated amenity space for outdoor amenity space for the residents, whether it's outside somewhere or on the rooftop. Number seven, consider changing the layout in that one corner to avoid that one suite from facing the adjacent buildings. Okay. Number eight, I had consider more pavers and less concrete, but I feel like that can tie in with the permeable pavers comment. So in general, considering more permeability on the site. So permeable pavers and just more pavers instead of concrete. So that's one less on our list here. Okay. Sorry, I'm consolidating some of these as I go, so it's just taking me a moment here. Okay. Number eight, just considering additional landscape elements. And Harry, that was one of your comments, and if you could maybe elaborate on what you feel would be particularly useful here.
Just the sidewalk frontage just looks very concrete, like
Okay,
doesn't look personable.
so can we consolidate that with the previous comment about
For sure.
taller front, taller plants out front and the more permeable pavers? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so that one's back and okay. And number eight is a comment from me. If there's a way to push the garbage back just a little bit, nudge it back from that corner, make it wider and push it back a little bit. And if there is a way to do that, I do respect that it might not be possible. So it's a consideration, but not a necessity here. I will formalize it though. Okay. So that's 8 comments, and then I'd like to just check in with panel to see if there's anybody else that would like to add anything or correct any of my interpretations of your comments. Just checking. Okay, in that case, thank you very much. We have these 8 comments. Did you get these? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, in that case, can I get a motion to support the project as presented with those 8 recommendations, as well as support for the variances? Okay, Harry, seconder. Jessica, all in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Again, thank you for your presentation, Atta and team, and good job. It's going to be a wonderful project. I'm looking forward to seeing it be completed.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Okay, and moving on to our third project of the night, last but not least, 2124 Northfield Road. This one is going to be introduced by Morgan Paymont, our planner 2 of current planning. Please go ahead, Morgan.
Here, I'm just gonna change things up on you. It's myself introducing, Lania Road.
Please go ahead, Lania. Yes, we did.
Sorry about that.
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Development permit application number DP 1414 is for a mixed-use residential and commercial development, as noted at 2124 Northfield Road. This is within the existing mixed-use corridor Core 2 zone. The proposed building includes 5 stories of residential comprising of 95 multifamily dwelling units, over 2 stories of parking, 1 on the ground floor and 1 underground. The front of the building also includes, along facing Northfield Road, 2 stories of commercial office use with a gross floor area of 866 approximately square meters. The property is designated within development permit area number 8 for form and character, and of course the city's form and character design guidelines apply. The application includes a variance to increase the maximum permitted building height of the principal building from 18 meters to 20.2 meters. And I'm happy to take any questions following the applicant's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lania. And who will be presenting this evening? Carl, hi. Please go ahead.
I'm going to start out, and thanks, Lania, for the introduction. But we are going to do a bit of a combined presentation. We do have a couple other people here. So first I'll introduce myself. My name is Carl Binder. I am the General Manager of Momentum Design Build. We are a subsidiary of the Hazelwood Group of Companies, who is the owner of this property. Momentum's acting as the construction manager, and we are also representing the owner for tonight's presentation. I'm joined by Raffi Architecture, McDonald Gray Landscape, and Herald Engineering. I will defer to Raffi Architecture to bring you through the design, but before we get to the plans, I just wanted to start out saying that we tried to carefully think about this mixed-use site by clearly defining the different types of use. The commercial portion of the project is situated directly off Northfield to activate the street frontage and is carefully delineated from the residential portion of the project. That is situated towards the back of the property. We felt delineating the 2 different types was important so that both the commercial and residential entrances were very clear to visitors of the site. We also did consider a rooftop amenity over the commercial roof, but we were concerned that this might interfere with the residential unit balconies that directly face this area. So again, we just tried to keep the delineation between the 2 different uses. Although we tried to separate the 2 uses, we did use some efficiencies with the site plan, like garbage collection and the loading bays. Those were more centrally located, and they'll service both. As Hazelwood is a prominent local employer, when we first started developing the site, we wanted to provide something that we felt would benefit both us as an employer, but also the city of Nanaimo, which is housing for families. Families and that this project would support the missing middle while enjoying the benefits of ownership. We're proposing 60 units that are 2+ bedrooms. And so we see this building thriving with kids, new home buyers, potentially even seniors that want to downsize with the 1 bedrooms. And we also have some studio units, and we thought that the new home buyers could probably benefit from that. Close proximity to quality foods, direct access to Bevan Park and the Steve Smith Bike Park. I think you'll notice some themes of all the bike features that we've got in this project. We feel that these units will be in high demand just because of the location. And we also feel that the building will fit in with the future developments proposed to be constructed just down the road on Northfield. The difference is those are all designated as rentals. So we think that this development will complement the neighborhood as it continues to develop. With that in mind, you'll also see as Rafi goes through the site plan, we did provide direct access to Bevan Park, but unfortunately, due to an existing easement that's currently on title, we have to expect our neighbors' access. So what we tried to do right now is provide pedestrian access through our site right beside our building, and then that circulates back to the pedestrian connector. We did this with the assumption that once the pedestrian connector, or once our neighboring property is developed, then we could extend that pedestrian connector right through to Northfield, if and when that does get developed. So anyways, I know you've probably heard enough of me talking, but I just kind of wanted to start with that, and I'll hand it over to Rafi.
Thank you very much. I'm Fouad Rafi of Rafi Architects, and with me is Babak, the project architect, and Nolan, the project coordinator. Please, if you go through the slides, because apparently you guys are changing the slides. Yeah, we feel that being part of the core of the downtown, future downtown of Nanaimo has been zoning as core too. This area is being developed from mostly a suburban area to become more urban. And this was the biggest intention and biggest task that we had in front of us to do that. Northfield, which will be a main thoroughfare, we try to bring the commercial right to the face of the street and create a street wall over there with the commercial directly facing the street. And on the other hand, there is a major park, the Bevan Park at the north of the site. And we have a residential that we didn't want to be like a hidden behind, like as a secondary thing. So we created an open area. And this was the biggest challenge of our project, that is like a connection between the Northfield and the park into a mixed-use open air space that includes pedestrian walkways, it includes the parking access, and also access to the residential building behind us. The landscape architect can describe furthermore when it gets to the landscape part of it. But this, from Northfield, when you're walking, you will see through the landscaping, you will see the park. And the bike access, which is also, this is part of the city bike route, has been very carefully designed that will give access not only between the street and the park, also to our bike storages in the residential and commercial portion of the building. Next slide, please. And the site plan, the site is an L-shaped, weird L-shape, and as you see, we had a challenge to make the residential units work, but on the other hand, we didn't want to create like a big straight walls. So lots of time has been spent to create interest, architectural interest, in breaking up the edges of the building, because the footprint is pretty large. It's almost 19,000 square foot, 18 to 19,000 square foot, depending on the floors. And with the setbacks, the required setbacks, and in additional setbacks above the parking structure, we created a very reasonable distances between all the main residential areas and the property lines. Right now is pretty wide open, but even in the anticipation of future, those buildings to our left become taller, we still have very decent distance between the balconies or our residential windows to the property line. We have one main traffic car access to the building, which, as you see from Northfield, and this also complies with the fire truck access that we have reviewed. That we have very extensive traffic review with the traffic consultants, which unfortunately is not part of this because our timing for the presentation is too short. You know, we just, as part of the application is given to the city, we are not going through the details of the traffic maneuvering points. The building, as Carl mentioned, a 5-story residential building, but none of the residences are on the main floor, as main floor has more parking and car accesses is coming and going. A majority of our parking, with the exception of 20-odd cars, which are surface parking, and they are for visitors to the office, at the right-hand side and the gray area. All the other parking is either one level below grade or at grade under a concrete cover. So residential units, except the lobby of the residential, which is that yellow portion on the upper hand side, which is the lobby, everything else is the residential is above grade. So they don't face the traffic, they don't face the cars, they don't face the garbage collection or things like that. The office or commercial building is designed right now as a shell in 2 stories, which 2-story of the commercial is equal to the 3-story of residential height, and is designed as such that could be used as one entity leasing the whole thing, or could be easily divided in multiple storefronts with the multiple entrances that has been provided up front at the street side. As I mentioned, the east side courtyard that goes all the way up is semi-public, semi-private, semi-public. So it is open to the park. But to the left-hand side of that, with the green area you see, there is fenced off from that area to the bottom, just beyond the office building, which is fenced off. So that is secured area. Exactly. In that portion, right beside the office, the bicycle access for the commercial is provided there. In the parking numbers are meeting or exceeding the required number of parking required by the city. So is the bicycle storage. We have 3 separate bicycle storages for the residential. The main one is right beside the lobby, so people can park their bikes there and enter the lobby. And there is one at the northwest corner. There is another one in the basement, and we have a separate parking for bicycles and end of trip facilities, shower and washing for commercial access of the bicycle. The accessible parking in front of the commercial is provided right beside the door, and accessible parking for the residential is inside under the cover. There is only one ramp going down to the underground parking, which is all hidden from street. The loading bays are the same thing. If you can show what the location of the 2 loading bays are provided, and is right beside the 2 separate garbage rooms for the commercial and for the residential. If you go to the next slides, please. Yeah, these are typical floor plates. Level 2 and level 3 that has the office in it is slightly different than the levels 4 to 6. Level 2 and 3, the units at the further south have their balconies or patios to east and west. But when you go up to level 4, or 5, and 6, the patios, balconies of those units are facing south. Because of the first 3 levels, as I mentioned, they're right behind the commercial space. Go to the next, please. The elevations, the top one is east elevation, the bottom one is the south elevation. So you see the commercial right in front with the residential somehow ghosted behind when there is way back there. The next one, please. The materials, we have majority of the building is cementitious panels, pre-painted, pre-finished in 3 different. And actually, the cementitious materials in 2 different colors is white and a khaki color, and then there is a wood grain accents throughout the building, and also soffits are matching that. The balcony railings, clear glass with the aluminum railings, low E glass throughout, which is clear, but as you are aware of it, it just gives itself a natural greenish tint to it. The main floor of the parkade from the courtyard is concrete, painted concrete to the east, and we are showing also the sample of the charcoal color of the accents with the trims, most of them, and also security or privacy screens between the different balconies are aluminum with frosted glass. Our windows are vinyl windows with again charcoal color on it. Go to the next one, please. The sections, as you see the longitudinal section, to the right-hand side of the upper section, you see the 2 levels of commercial, which covers 3 levels of residential, which only 2 of really residential. The bottom 2 floors are only parquet. Go please to the next one. Yeah, the rendering showing the east side of the building, and some the upper left corner shows taken from the west looking north. Go to the next one, please. The night renderings. Again, please go to the next. Yeah, the landscape, I leave it to Nigel to start talking about the landscape, and then we get back to the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yep. Landscape, please.
I think I'm gonna have to ask Louise to run the show for me, since it's an error message on my end.
Sure.
And Louise was prepared for this, of course.
Great.
So I'm gonna talk at a higher level. Fouad did a great job of describing some of the technical site plan elements, so I'm gonna keep it at a high design conversation for this design panel meeting. The landscape architecture design approach is inspired by both the building typology and the site's relationship to the natural backdrop and recreational amenities of Bevan Park, which is a sweet situation for us. I should also say residents are going to enjoy direct access to the park via that 3-meter trail dedications that Carl mentioned, and eventually, of course, that will go all the way out to the road when the adjacent site redevelops. I wanted to note as well, as Fouad alluded to, there is a secondary access at the back of the building where there's a picnic table and some bike repair elements and emergency access to the park. I don't touch on that later in the presentation, but just be aware there is a place to sit and meet and fix your bikes and talk about the ride. Next slide, please, Louise. So the intentional rectilinear forms of the building architecture are grounded within geometric paving patterns. The two photos at the bottom are from recent projects. So you can see it is a tight score pattern with a brute finish. So it is a very realizable texture when you drive over it or ride your bicycle over it. These patterns are used to identify pedestrian areas within the site and the main entry points as well. So you can see here with the two red arrows, these are the textured elements notifying both cars and pedestrians where the pedestrian priority zones are on this site. Next slide, please. The amenity space is kind of our favorite thing about this design. So it's provided adjacent to the main building entry for both primary pedestrian and secondary bicycle, mobility, scooter, and other forms of transportation. The main entry to the building is right next to the main entry to the bicycle storage and scooter storage and other things. The secondary access provides direct connection to city trail corridors. So if you can see, there's the main entry, which is flanked with a very dense treed LA. But beyond that, there's the terrace seating area, and you can see a secondary path which connects to the park and actually down the northwest side of the building. Next slide, please. So the overarching metaphor, going back to our days at UBC and the millennium, turning of the millennium, we always like to have a metaphor. So in this case, it's that of a foothills or lowland deciduous forest. This is kind of picking up from my days as an extreme mountain bike rider and kind of the joy of the end of the day coming down from the mountain into those lowland deciduous forests and kind of wetland regions. So you can see here, if you come through the park, we've got two elements, basically rock rollers, and I'll talk about that in the next slide, but we also have the rain garden feature for the site tied into this whole experience of the amenity area. So you can see the rain garden to the north actually functions to drain the site, and it's an element adding to our deciduous forest feature. So you can see here, oh, sorry, next slide, perfect, please, thanks. So again, I mentioned the end of a day's ride, and we've got these boulder features we're gonna add in, so you don't have to take the path, you can take the little rollers for that kind of last moment of joy in your day. When you're coming back from the bike park or coming back from a long day's ride on some of the extensive trail systems in the city. Next slide, please, Louise. So within that arrival space, near the residential building entry, we have a hemispherical terrace lawn gathering area. There will be dappled shade there in the summer. There is also a lawn portion which would be under the treed canopy without the terracing. Nice place to just lay down and relax. Place to talk about the day's ride and just have a conversation or meet prior to a ride for the day. Next slide, please. Planting scheme, I'm trying to do something different than the conifers everywhere approach. So because we have the beautiful coniferous backdrop in the park, we thought let's do something different and kind of pull from that design typology of kind of the lowland forest and the beautiful red osier dogwood twigs against the birch and make a really dense kind of approach to that. And that's carried through the site right up to Northfield Road. I won't bore you with all the design language, but you can see here, we have a very solid approach to what we were trying to do on this site. Next slide, please, Louise. Again, we're picking up with the building. There was a lot of collaboration on this site, and I love the renderings that Rafi prepared for our project. The contrasting white hues of the plant color palette resonates with the detailing in the building, and this is intentional. Further to that, we added kind of the things that would pop with primarily evergreen shrub plantings and the colors of our indigenous plant palette. And these are also used to define individual ground level spaces. And I should add that there are planters on the L2 level of the building as well. And that same planting palette is employed there as well. And I believe that's my last slide.
Great. Thank you very much, Nigel. Okay.
I don't know if anybody really wants to talk more about the rain garden, but that would probably be what Ian would talk about, and we've heard about it already. I don't know if there's any value in that, or Ian, are you still on the call?
Yep.
Do you have anything you want to talk about civil-wise real quick?
Yeah, quickly, as Nigel mentioned, there's a rain garden up at the top corner there for stormwater management. The rest of it, the balance will be made up with a below-grade storage tank. There's an existing water and existing sanitary service to the site, so we're going to use that. And then next slide, please.
Sorry, Ian, that's all I've got on here.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have any sections in
The,
here. I apologize.
Yeah, you can see the proposed bike lane and sidewalk that's been coordinated with the engineering department, with the Bowen and Northfield design, and as Rafi mentioned, the access has been reviewed by the traffic consultant for stopping distances and sight triangles. That's it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Ian, Louise, Carl, and Fouad, and Nigel. Thank you very much for your presentation and your time. Let's begin with questions from the panel to the city. If anybody has something they'd like to ask.
I do have a question.
Yes, please go ahead, Kate.
Thank you. I see on the drawings it shows that the MUP is not continuing. It's just a proposed future expansion or extension. What was the reason for that not continuing to the Northfield Road as part of this project?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. So I think Carl may have alluded to this at the beginning of the presentation. There is an existing easement. And so there, in terms of heading towards Northfield Road, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes, yeah. So I think that impedes maybe perhaps the assumption of a direct connection at this time, and so the intention being a future connection to be achieved. So again, still in preliminary review stages of the application, but I believe that's shown that way related to the easement. And if the applicant wants to add any clarification, they can.
Yeah, if I could jump in then. Yeah, I guess that was a challenge, unfortunately, with the easement. So the neighbor did ask for a fence to be put up, so we did put a fence up and to allow him to continue to access his property. When we first came to the neighbor with that connection, his concern was that he does have trucks driving back and forth to access that property, and he's afraid of pedestrians walking on that easement and not knowing that it is an access to his property. So we tried to accommodate the pedestrian connector, and you could see potentially on the site plan the crosswalks that we've put in place. And so we've connected it to our sidewalk to allow for pedestrians to at least access that connector.
Okay. Good. Okay, and I guess if anybody has any more questions for Lanya. Okay, if not, then we'll start back with our comments. Harry, if you wouldn't mind starting things off.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you guys for the presentation. Yeah, form and character looks great on this. I like it. I like how the upper building massing is broken up well. The wood tone accents look great too. The only comments I have on your form and character is screening and detailing of the exposed parkade walls. Guideline 2116 and 3328. And there was also a staff comment, consider additional architectural detailing or vertical elements to strengthen the project identity along Northfield Road. Guideline 3312 and 3314. That's it on form and character. For landscape, that looks fantastic too. The only one thing comment I have is consider additional seating or landscape features along the Northfield Road frontage. Guideline 21411. Good with the variance. It's kind of expected with your underground parking. It's pretty minimal. So, but yeah, that's my comments. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Harry. And Dushan, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the building and form character, really nicely designed. I have only a few small instances. One is just maybe adding the covered outdoor amenity space. Even though we have this outdoor seating area, maybe just adding some coverage there would be nice. And also on the rooftop of the commercial area, I know it's not presented at the moment, but there is probably going to be some mechanical units there. And just to keep in mind that what the acoustics are and sound limitations to the residents. So maybe some hedges around the exposed balcony there would be nice, and even separating the whole exposure from that side instead of having a full spectrum of the clean roof space there and looking at the possibly future mechanical units for the commercial. That's the only thing I have on this.
Thank you very much, Dushan.
Thank you.
Okay, and Jessica, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much for the presentation. I second comments already made. I do want to comment on the commercial versus residential space. And one of my questions was, do you have a tenant for the commercial space? And it was answered in the presentation. It sounds like it is just an empty space to be built to suit whoever may come in the future. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have been talking with some tenants right now that are interested in the whole thing. So, yes.
Okay. The way some of the renderings make it look as though it's already kind of divided into individual units, but then when I looked at the floor plans, it was clear that it was all one big space, but you also said it could be separated. So I like the flexibility of the future use of the commercial space, and that there's great detail given to architectural details for covering entrances and windows and patios on the residential building, but the commercial two-story building is very plain. And at first I thought that there was actually no overhangs or protection for the windows on the I think it's the Northfield facade, but then I saw that it looks like in one of the renderings there's a glass overhang over windows. Again, I just wanted to ask if that's correct. Is that correct?
It's a 1.5 meter glass canopy, continues, and turns around in this way to our street, which is covered, and the main entrance is here. That is the main porch that you see here. But the canopy—
Sorry, we're losing audio on you, Fuad. Could you please come closer to the mic?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, there is at least 5 feet continuous glass on the Northfield area, but it turns around the corner to go over the main entry to the building is solid cover of the upper floor, covering it. So the windows are covered. That's correct.
Okay, so in the one facade you've got the glass, and then
That's correct.
on the adjacent corner the building overhangs to provide a cover. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I find those horizontal glass projections look great in a photo, but unless they're cleaned all the time, I don't know, they can just, perhaps exploring a different material for that overhang, just to have it look better and be more possibly maintenance free in the future. And possibly to add more interest and the ability to delineate units should a future tenant choose to separate the units into multiple units. So having more flexibility in the main facade for the commercial tenants, I think would be a good recommendation. Otherwise, I think it's a great project and it looks great. Thank you very much for your presentations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jessica. That's great. And Kate, please go ahead.
Great. Yeah, thank you for your presentation. Couple of things. I heard you'd mentioned about not wanting to put an outdoor amenity area on the commercial area for concern for noise for residents, which I appreciate. I would recommend looking at an extensive green roof there. It would really enhance the livability of those units for them to look over on a green space rather than a rock ballast. I'd suggest, given that, because the the density is increasing so much, I'd suggest, it looks like you're 4 stalls over the required number. So I would suggest the recommendation would be to go back to the minimum and return those 4 stalls to the outdoor programming area. I'm sure they would be greatly used by the residents of this building. I would suggest more seating is needed. It looks like the only formal seating is 1 picnic table, which seems insufficient for the size of this density. I'd also recommend looking at the outdoor programming of the dog run. It seems to me with the adjacent trails and parks, that area would be better suited to more picnic area or perhaps children's play or something that has more benefit for those large 3 units. And I did have a question. I see textured paving elements everywhere on the plan. Do you mean concrete with saw cut joints or something else?
Concrete with score joints on a tight pattern.
Okay, so yeah, my recommendation would be that that's going to be a lot of concrete and asphalt. And so I would recommend, per the design guidelines, looking at permeable pavers, or if not permeable, at least unit pavers in those gathering areas, as opposed to concrete with saw cut joints. And then the remaining one is, it looks like the PMT is really nicely screened on 2 of the sides, but it is missing screening on the side facing Northfield Road. So I'd recommend adding that.
I believe that's a technical problem. Ian identified it. I think they have to be able to open the doors clear to the road there. Yeah.
I can't rotate. Okay, sounds good.
I mean, the chances of it actually landing where it's shown on the plan is
Yeah.
also like 50-50
Okay.
with hydro. So yeah,
Fair.
take it
Yeah,
under
it's just-
consideration. Hopefully it moves somewhere else.
Sounds good. Well, at the very least, if not, then a wrap would be a lovely addition. Yeah.
Great idea.
Thanks. That's all. The rest is great.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kate. That was great. Yeah, Councillor Eastmere. Oh, she's not. She's gone. Yes. Okay, and last not least, I guess my comments to add here. I really like this. I think it will add to the neighborhood. The proximity to Bowen Park is really such a benefit to the people living there. So it's great to add density where it makes sense, as opposed to kind of a very much a greenfield spot. So this is really nice. I am seconding the kind of need to do something above that commercial space, whether it's a green roof or combined with maybe some planters or something to hide the rooftop units that will probably be going there, just to make it a little bit nicer. It'll help with some of the acoustics as well, and it's just a nice thing for the residents to look over onto when they don't have the view onto Bowen Park. They can have this. So I'm just seconding that. Question for Nigel. I'm not a landscape architect, but I know in your planting plan you had some edible plants. I saw some, what was it? Some berries and things. Now, are all of them edible, or are some of them edible and some of them not edible?
All the indigenous plants are edible.
They're all edible. Okay.
Yeah. And don't quote me on that. I'll back check, but they should all be edible.
Yeah, because
That's the intent, at least. Edible by birds, if not humans. So.
Well, no, that's the issue here, right? Because you're going to have kids living here, and they're going to want to try the berries, and they have a hard time distinguishing between salal and the berries that are for birds.
The quick answer: this is our palette, so I'm sure it's been tested past that. But I will absolutely add that note to my notes. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Nigel. Okay, in that case, I think that concludes the comments and recommendations portion of this. Okay, so again, panel, if you could please chime in. Harry, I didn't quite catch everything you said about the screening as your first comment. If you could just clarify what you'd like for that.
Okay, basically the parkade on the bottom is all like white blank walls. So maybe do some like concrete stamping or screening somehow, because the building massing on the top looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then you look down and just white.
Yes. So we are recommending screening the parkade on level 1. Okay, second comment is adding some vertical elements along Northfield Road. Harry, did you want to kind of elaborate a little bit?
That was just reflecting on the staff comment.
Okay, perfect.
And also I added with the landscape, consider additional seating or landscape features along Northfield Road too.
Okay, yeah, perfect, yeah. Okay, so that's kind of the same, part of the same comment. Okay. Okay, and then consider adding a covered outdoor space. That's comment 3. Comment 4, consider adding a green roof or hedges to hide the mechanical above the commercial, create a nicer view. Number 5, consider a different, less maintenance heavy material for the overhang. Okay. Number 6, consider some opportunities for, I guess, the tenant signage or opportunities to distinguish between the tenants in one way or another. I don't know if Jessica, you want to add to that? No? Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's fine. 6. 7, consider, so we already added the green roof above commercial in the previous point, so I'm consolidating that point. Number 7, remove stalls and add some programming. Remove the stalls above minimum. Number 8, provide more seating. Number 9, consider swapping out the outdoor dog run for either a children's area or a picnic area. Number 10, consider replacing concrete with permeable pavers. And number 11, consider screening options for the Northfield Road portion of for the PMT. Okay, so those are 11 items. Does anybody else have any, do the panel members have anything that they'd like to add or like to correct any of what I had mentioned? Okay. All right. In that case, and does anyone have any objections to the building height increase from 18 meters to 20.2? No, all good? Great. In that case, I would like to put forth a motion to proceed with this project as presented with these 11 recommendations and the height variance. Can I get a yes? Harry, seconder Kate, all in favor? Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you very much to Fouad Rafi and the team for the presentation. It looks like a wonderful project. We're very excited to see it. And finally, can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting? Thank you, everybody. And all in favor? I saw Harry, I saw Nigel, I saw Kate there. Everybody.
Thank you very much. And